So please, open up. Here's your chance. You've been sitting for a long time and listening to a lot of information, I know. But there must be some excellent, some great things that you like to expand and like to have expansion on. And so don't be shy. Let me put it that way. Come on. Who's going to break the ice? Who's the icebreaker? Stefan, can't you manage some of these? Quick. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. My name's Andrew Bulmer, Managing Director for Bulmer Farms, and we're growing salads here in Australia. My question's for Blair. Just wondering if refrigerated mailboxes or letterboxes is something that's on the agenda in the States at the moment with the rise in home delivery. Is that sort of technology ready to be implemented?
I'm sorry, you're asking if the technology is available for free, in terms of free trade with international companies, or?
No, refrigerated letterboxes like for deliveries in households or apartment blocks or something like that, or at a train station there might be a refrigerated bank where fresh produce could be left.
Yeah, fantastic question, and I don't know. The system is not there yet. I think that the technology is there, the ability to do it is there, but no one has jumped into it and made it happen yet. So I think that's where it's going next. You look at it from a consumer's perspective, or a taxi driver's perspective, or an Uber car driver's perspective. They're sitting a lot of times waiting, and it's just wasted energy, wasted time. This technology, this industry, this generation will fix that, and they'll put people to work in different ways. And that may be bringing produce from a depot or a grocery store to my home. From a freight perspective, I think that's coming very quickly. I don't know any company myself that's doing it, but I think there are companies that are working on it. I know Uber's working on it behind the scenes from what I'm hearing. I think they're raising money for it right now. And I think it would just be amazing if you go and do it. Now, the big thing against that is people say, well, the drivers aren't licensed. They're not vouched for by a broker or whatever. But what will change that is the social network and the feedback of rating the driver on your load and requiring every load that driver takes to receive a rating. Both sides. You as a shipper will be rated, and the driver will be rated by you. And so you exchange ratings and information, and over time you get 100 or 150 or 1,000 ratings. That becomes better than any license that's out there.
Thank you. Okay. Yes. Refrigerated letterboxes, it's amazing, isn't it, eh? Where are we going? Yeah. Yes.
Rifka, I had a question for you. We talk about desalination of water technology. Is it actually feasible for people to have their own desalination plant within their own area? Because in Australia it's prohibitively expensive regarding desalination technology. And there are a lot of areas in Australia that would probably benefit from it, but it's just that cost that's prohibitive. Have you had any sort of technologies or things you're doing there?
Yes, I'll tell you the truth that we are waiting for getting the desalinated water from central of Israel. And there are a lot of talks, and people are saying it will take 5, 6 years, 10 years. So our growers now decided that they don't have any more time till the government will help them transferring the water from the Mediterranean, near the Mediterranean Sea. There will be a big project of desalination water for drinking water. And they decided, just now, when I left 1 week ago, there was a meeting with one of the company, and 10 growers decided to buy for themselves a desalinator. And they will use it for mainly for such a crop that's very sensitive to salinity, like strawberry, or for pepper to increase their yield by make combination of their own desalinate water and combine it with their saline water, and for grapes. So they decided that we did a lot of experiments. that we show the increasing of yield by using the desalinated water. And now they decided to do it, and the government now also decided to help them buying this desalination plane, and they will use it. We have to take care on the drainage, of course, and the drainage they will grow with the drainage. They will use it for palm trees. They will use it also for some other crops, but we have to take care of the drainage. It's not allowed to use the drainage and leave it and penetrate it to the soil. So there will be, I believe that in the coming years, there will be more and more fields that will irrigate by desalination water. And the government also will do a lot of efforts to give the growers the water, but it costs a lot of money. And now we are just discussing it. So.
Thank you. Right, any other questions? Yes, here we go. You're a couple here. They're excellent. Thank you.
I'm Mike Badcock, I'm a farmer, northwest coast Tasmania. A question to John. John, how much do you use satellite to collect your data, or also use in the assessment of maybe future weather patterns?
So right now, we use the satellites primarily to track observed precipitation. And so we take advantage of ground stations to calibrate a moving filter of what the satellites are suggesting was falling. That way you have a more accurate sense of what's happened in the past. So the question of using satellite data is that's just part of what we collapse all into this one data set. That way you have all your variables in one location. Now in terms of using it for future forecasts, that's actually why the satellites were built in the first place. So like the big NOAAs and NASA and the other groups that would do forecasting. But we don't actually run a process forecast model. So we downscale the existing ones. So we add value to them by making them accessible to the same API. So I can only address the question that way. I don't have an answer for how they would use satellites in the future.
Thanks, Mike. There was another one over here. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Mark Lyons from Boltfish. I was just inquiring with Jan about the robotics side of things. I was interested to see that. Something intrigues me a little. The speed factor in that of a robotic type harvesting product. Do you see the future like being able to produce that harvest much quicker? As in, like at the moment, that's probably the units you talk about for the peppers, probably 1,200-1,400 units in a 24-hour period. Like where is this sort of heading at this stage?
Okay, if I understand well, you are asking about the cycle time of the harvesting of one fruit. Correct. To reduce. Yeah, actually, we did also a lot of economical calculations, and also in the new project we have a part of the work is done on that. Actually, we think the optimal cycle time would be 6 seconds per fruit, where the human being has a cycle time of about 2 seconds, but a robot can work 24 hours or 20 hours of 24. We are not that far, but in the new project we decided not to have any sensing on the mainframe, because that's too slow, because you have no space. You always have to take out your sensors of the working space of the robot, and that takes too much time. So only sensors on the end effect, on the head of the robot. And we will use visual surveying, and that's you don't need much calculation, because if once you see a red or yellow spot, you can go directly towards it without knowing exactly what it is. So we hope that we can manage this, but due to the calculation, so for instance, we cannot mention 6 seconds, but say 12 seconds, then the price of the robot will be halved, more or less. So if we can build a cheaper robot, it's okay. What's also interesting is that the growers now say you don't need to have a success rate of 100%. Maybe 60% is enough. You can go the next day again, or we can still use some people. So that's what the idea. But we hope that we can really reduce the cycle time. That's necessary to make it economically feasible.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that I was sort of
One of the things I was sort of interested in is the fact that the speed factors, I would assume they would be fairly pricey units, which means you wouldn't be able to have, you know, a number of them running around your greenhouses. Any idea, is there any calculations on costing in that at this stage?
I did not, sorry, can you repeat the question?
Okay, the cost of the robot itself, I would assume would be reasonably expensive at this stage, and therefore you wouldn't be able to have a number of units within a greenhouse. I think because it'd be cost prohibitive. Is that, have you got any idea of sort of costings at this stage?
Yeah, if I understand well, the cost of the units, of course, the robots already become cheaper and cheaper. When the cucumber harvesting manipulator, I think, was then euros about 60,000 euro, one arm, and now you can buy the same arm for 20,000 euro. So and even it's better. So that's already cheap. The cameras are now, you buy it from the shelf. They are not so expensive anymore. So the costs are cheaper and cheaper. And of course, you will not have one robot in a greenhouse, but that depends on your size, but several robots. So that should be no problem at all. And we made calculations. If we can do it in 6 seconds, within 5 years, you earn all your money back, and then you make the profit. You have no cost anymore. And even, I think, in 12 seconds, the robots can be built. But of course, also the supplier has to make money, so there is some space. And we did also a calculation for apples, because the crops project was also on apples. That's a much more difficult situation, because you only harvest, say, a month a year, and then it's difficult to make it economically feasible. But for sweet pepper, we believe, and also not only I believe it, but our growers really believe that it's possible.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions? Okay. Can I ask you a question? Is there anyone who's come up with a really good thought from today's session about how you can use something to make an opportunity out of it, or thinking about what the next steps might be? Any ideas? Anyone happy with what their note taking and what they've done? Thanks.
Jared Janke, Rugby Farm. This is just going along the lines with what Blair was talking about in the Uberisation model. Do you think there's possibly down the track for food sharing, where families get together, might use the whole product, go onto a website, and that relates back directly to us, and we can then send out goods for them to be divided up through families, takes down waste, and also then increases the possibilities of people who could probably not afford it by themselves, and also probably the word of mouth too, by food sharing ideas and where it also come from, so they get more experience and more direct relationship with the actual grower.
Yeah, that's actually happening today. There are groups out there where you can get 2 or 3 families from a neighborhood, and they will take delivery of a quantity of fruits and vegetables from a local farmer that's delivering them to the area on a weekly basis. It's kind of customizable, and there's nothing that's big yet, but I've seen these in different regions. I know there's some groups in Washington D.C. is one of the cities. San Francisco is another city that does that. They'll have buying co-ops where families in an apartment complex or a duplex or something will come together, and they'll have one delivery for the family. They'll split it up and pay for it together. It makes it easier on the farmer to deliver, more efficient, and brings their costs down for fresh fruits and vegetables.
John, maybe I'll just ask one for a moment. John, You were talking about problems of increased heat overnight as different to other things, and you're talking about the coffee problem. Where is that now? Where is it? What's happened? What have they done to try and overcome that problem? Where's it leading to?
Well, the situation that I just recently encountered, for example, in Honduras, has to do with the obvious answer is moving higher elevation, because that's a little cooler. That doesn't always solve the problem, because of course the mountain gets smaller. The other part of the problem is, or the opportunity, is a little bit of breeding, but that takes time to adjust for that. I know in the common bean, for example, there's been some recent work that has for temperature degree adaptation was announced by one of the CGIR groups. But I think it's a very complex story because, if you will, the weather is changing faster than genetics change, and it creates a huge information gap. So right now it's actually a real stress point, and that goes for multiple tree crops. Palm less so, palm oil less so, but certainly cocoa. West Africa chocolate is an issue, and coffee is clearly an issue. Some of the other crops are moving around more. You see things, even in the United States now, the growing season is much longer. I live in Denver as well. Last year was one of the first summers where we actually had fertile tomato plants. It's kind of funny. Just just a household garden type thing where, the nights were so much warmer that we actually had a lot. So these things are, some things we're going to be able to adapt to more easily than others, but I think there's going to be some stress points as the variable weather causes particular compounding effects, even some of the pollinators, the insect pollinators, things like that, to become less optimal for the period when things are flowering, for example. So there'll be some stress points.
Thank you. Is there similar happening around Australia, or anyone experiencing any of these issues as such, or where are we at the moment in Australia as far as this is concerned? Anyone like to contribute? No. Oh, well, I'm sure that at some stage we'll know a lot more about it. Anything else anyone would like to say or like to add, whether it's a question or a comment or... Yep, thank you. Over the middle.
Nick Crandall from Western Australia. This is a general question. What sort of assistance, government assistance, does any of this research done? And does some of your research depending on the assistance from governments, or is it all privately done? This is general to all your speakers. Thank you.
Well, for my part, zero.
Zero? So, we don't have any support for research. Zero? Do you have any assistance from the government?
Yes, we get very less compared to 10 years ago, and but still our government is helping us. We get money for research, and we get also money from public organization for R&D. But the growers get less and less help from the government in the last years.
Yeah, most of our research is funded by government, nowadays especially by Europe, because they have the largest budgets. And in the Netherlands we had the drawback that we had a horticultural product board that was more or less a governmental organization. The growers paid a kind of tax for that, and part of that money was also spent on research, but our government decided to get away of this product board, so we now have a little bit of problem. And they are now looking, also the big growers are looking if they can again have such a structure so that some of their money is used for research. But indeed, our institute is mostly depending on governmental money. But we do not get direct money, it's only on project basis.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think by the sound of what's going on outside that lunch is getting very, very close. So I think we'll adjourn now.